Hello and welcome to another episode of the original Intersex Connect Live, the place where people in and affecting the intersex community come together. I'm your host, Joseph Benedict, and today's episode we'll be talking to Ronie Zuze. Ronie is the director and the founder of ICoZ Intersex Community of Zimbabwe. This is an interactive broadcast, so we will be able to respond to your comments questions real time. So please let us know you're out there and feel free to ask as many questions as you would like. Our co-host, Julie, is lost her voice. So that's not funny, I know. But so our co-host is absent today because they have lost their voice. So I apologize for that. One other thing I was going to mention, and it escaped my mind, so we're just going to go right in. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you Ronie Zuze. Ronie is the founder and director of the Intersex Community of Zimbabwe, ICoZ. Ronie has been a very strong activist for the intersex community in Zimbabwe and trying to get laws to protect the intersex children of Zimbabwe. And if we can bring Ronie in. Hi, Ronie. How are you?
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. Great to see you. So glad we finally connected. We've been trying to put this show together for about a year, I think. And
Of
between
course.
power outages and things like that. But we're finally here, and I'm so happy that you're here. Has it turned springtime in Zimbabwe yet?
We are actually entering summer.
Yeah.
It's very warm during the day, and in the evenings it's a bit chilly. But yeah, it's starting to warm up now after winter.
There you go. We're headed into autumn here, and the weather's rather crazy. But anyway, so Ronie, I got all sorts of questions for you today. And we always got to start with the same question for everybody. And I've asked everybody this question. It's been on the show. Are you intersex?
Yes, Jeff. I'm intersex.
Would you mind
Um,
sharing your variation with us?
I'm a 46 XXYY.
Okay.
Um, Born with ambiguous genitalia and OV testes as well.
Okay. So, but as a human being, um, aside from the medical aspect of your variation of intersex, what does it mean to you to be an intersex person, or your what does it mean to you outside of being a medical diagnosis?
Being intersex person to me, it's just like being any other human being. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm any different from how I'm understanding myself now. But I should be honest to say that when I grew up, I think it was a bit different from the way that I used to look at myself and understand myself, because I used to feel very much, um, you know, out of maybe abnormal, so to say, uh,
Hmm.
be- because of the way that I was treated and everything that I went through. But from my understanding at this point in moment, I believe that I'm just human being. I'm just a human being, even though I've got my own differences, just like anybody else. But I'm still very much human.
I like the way you say that because, like I do say, the intersex is just a natural variation of human being that's been around since the beginning of time, and you're just a natural variation of human being, and but it has made your life more difficult just because um, you didn't know people like you existed, so you felt like you were abnormal, for lack of a better word.
Oh yes, for a very long time of my life, I had never met any intersex person, any person who is like me. So yeah, I used to feel like the odd one out. um,
Yeah, I call it,
until
go ahead.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
call that intersex island, and almost everybody I know that is intersex has been on intersex island. So how long between the time that you knew that you were intersex and it was a medical situation or a medical variation, shall I say, um, from that time until you knew that there were other people like you, how long were you in that period of time where you felt like you were the only one on an island?
Wow, a very long time. I can say that until my mid 30s.
Yeah,
Right now, I'm in my early 40s.
right,
Um, yeah, but until my mid 30s, I had actually never met any other intersex person. So that was my own world that I was living in.
right.
Um, yeah, but now, yeah, until my mid 30s, that's when I
And is
got.
that what encouraged you to be an intersex activist?
Yes, I think I've always been an activist, but sometimes just belonging to, I'm not sure whether I should say the wrong groups. I've always had a passion to fight for the injustices, especially for the minority groups. Because even before I became an intersex activist, we used to, I used to be in the LGBTI movement. Um, yeah,
So
so
you were an activist before you were an intersex activist, basically fighting for basic human rights for all humans. Yes.
yes, exactly.
Yes. All right. So then, when you met your first intersex person, what was that experience like for you?
Actually, it was very funny because I think when I started discovering, because I was on a journey of self-discovery, because I
Right.
really wanted to make sense of everything, um, being aware of human beings uh, being different variations and stuff like that, which is not intersex specifically. But I was just trying to discover why is it that I am this different. So I stumbled upon the term intersex on internet,
Hmm.
and I kept on discovering, researching as
Right.
to what it really means. And that's when it then took me to, uh, the description of myself. So that's where when I went, oh, so this is me, I'm intersex. But
Right.
back then, I used to be embarrassed to say that, or even to come out openly to say, oh, look, I'm not like this, but I'm just intersex. So during that time, I also continued. I think that those were the early days of Facebook as well.
Right.
So I kept on digging until I also stumbled upon another great activist, intersex activist. Unfortunately, she's late now. She's Sally Gross
Yeah.
um, from South Africa. So I came across Sally Gross, and then we started connecting over Facebook. So that
Right.
is the first person I ever met who was intersex.
Yeah. First time I met an intersex person like that, it brought me to tears because it was like, really? Whoa. It's like it took me a while. But I also heard you mentioning that you were not necessarily comfortable claiming that you were intersex until you really knew that you were intersex because um, you understand the medical implications of being intersex um, can be overwhelming because you then have to explain to your doctors that you are intersex and prove to them. And did you have difficulty proving to your doctors in Zimbabwe that you were intersex, or were they open and willing to explore the possibility?
My experience with medicine, I don't know, it's a bit emotional because just like many other intersex people, I was exposed to corrective surgery during my childhood. So I did undergo some 4 surgeries whilst I was still a baby. So even back then, even doctors themselves, I don't think that they knew anything about intersex. I would like to believe that they were just doing experiments um, because they actually have limited information and even the experience of offering healthcare services to intersex persons. So yeah, when I then maybe reached about 16, between 16 and 17, my parents had to take me back to the hospital again so that they can pick up from where they left off whilst I was still a baby. Um, so yeah, they did their procedures, but nothing really ever worked out. Even though they did some very horrible stuff on my body. Um, Even back then, I never knew that I was intersex, so I never brought it up. All I knew was just to follow orders when I'm say when my parents say that no, we're going to the hospital so that they can actually fix you. That's all that I knew. But then nothing ever got fixed. So from then, I just developed this kind of hatred. I don't know if hatred is a good word, but I really do not like interacting with doctors or even medical professionals because I just see them as people who have got nothing better to offer. Because even up to today, if I ever encounter or maybe have that encounter with medical professionals, and I tell them that I'm intersex, some of them are really clueless, and they don't even know what to do with me. So it's not a good experience at all.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the experience I had here in America. I had surgeries as an infant, started when I was 4 months old, and stopped when I was like 13, I think, and only because I refused to have any more. Um, but and then finding follow-up medical care, like a doctor that actually knows something about intersex, is um, it's like throwing darts at a board because the odds are that they're not going to know anything about intersex, and you have to educate them.
Yeah. Mm.
So, all right, Ronnie. So, I want to talk about ICoZ because you are the founder and director of ICoZ, the intersex community of Zimbabwe. Um, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started on that?
Yeah, long story, eh? But I will try to cut it short.
Oh, we got time. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, so it was back in 2017. The first time I ever got into under one roof with about 20, if I'm not mistaken, it was 26 intersex activists for the first African intersex movement meeting that was held in South Africa. So I had the privilege of being invited um, for that meeting. So yeah, I saw other intersex activists, speaking proudly, being out and proud about being intersex and really fighting for intersex rights. I think I challenged myself. I really felt challenged to say, um, here I am being a human rights defender for other issues, but I'm even embarrassed to say I'm intersex. I'm gonna fight for who I am. I think that was a biggest challenge and a wake up call for me to say these intersex activists around Africa, they were really doing a great job, amazing stuff. So that was the start of my journey. So when I then decided to relocate back to Zimbabwe, because back then I had run away from Zimbabwe because it wasn't safe for me to be in Zimbabwe and being intersex, being part of the LGBTI. It was very dangerous due to the political context. So I then decided to relocate back home, and that was in 2018. Upon getting to Zimbabwe, I joined other groups which were doing trans and intersex work, but I felt that that wasn't where I wanted to see myself. And I then decided to found the intersex community of Zimbabwe. And it was founded in October 2018. So that's how I got to found the intersex community of Zimbabwe.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So it's been going on for quite a while. And what are the goals of the intersex community of Zimbabwe?
I think our main goal is to actually see intersex people in Zimbabwe being free. And by free, I mean completely free from all the stigma and discrimination and all the cultural wrong perceptions that surrounds being intersex. And also to see the Constitution recognizing intersex people. We need the acknowledgement that intersex people are real, they exist amongst the populations, and that they also deserve.
Uh-oh. Ronnie is frozen up. Come on, Ronnie, come back. I'm so engrossed. All right. So, hopefully Ronnie will be back in a second. Well, then, that was interesting. So, we're going to punt for a second and see if Ronnie can come back. Because we were going to talk about the Universal Periodic Report, and I want to bring that to everybody's attention. Hey, Ronnie, are you back? Oh, almost. So the Universal Periodic Report is the ninth generation of the 2013 report on torture.
Hi, James, I'm back.
Hey, Ronnie, welcome back. All right, so you were talking about the goals for the intersex community of Zimbabwe when you froze up, and just was there anything you wanted to add to that? That because it's hard for me to tell you where you left off, but was there anything you wanted to add about the goals of ICoZ?
Yeah, I think I have just summarized the main goals of the intersex community of Zimbabwe, just to see a society that is accepting, that acknowledges that intersex people are just human beings, just like anybody else, and there is nothing that we have as intersex people to be shameful about. And yeah, I think acknowledgement, acceptance, in terms of like the legal recognition by our laws in Zimbabwe, I think.
So
Yeah,
proper medical care would probably fit under that as well, yes?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Having at least some doctors trained in what intersex is. So
Yes.
now have you been, let me, you guys had a law put together that you were getting through the government, and it was about to be passed until at the very last minute there was some opposition to the law. Can you tell me something about that?
Please, can you come again? I think I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. You guys have been working on a law that was for intersex people's protection, and you had gotten it through most of the political process until there was a last minute opposition to the law. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. I think you're talking about the process that we, as a country, as Zimbabwe, if you were following the Universal Periodic Review,
Mm-hmm.
um,
All right.
we,
Can we stop for 1 second and explain what the Universal Periodic Review is? I was about to explain that when you froze up, so I was going to try and explain that to everybody. I don't. Do you know where the periodic review originated and how it became a thing?
from my understanding, the Universal Periodic Report is a process from the uh, whereby states go under review. I'm not sure where it originated from, but I just know that there is a body of human rights
Yeah.
whereby countries have signed treaties to uphold certain human rights.
Right.
Uh,
So
right.
let me take just a moment to explain. The Universal Periodic Report is actually the ninth generation of the 2013 report on torture, or Rapport on Torture, because it's actually French and written in French. But from that report, where they claim that intersex is torture, the intersex surgeries on infants is torture, the Universal Periodic Report is the countries responding to what they've done about the things in the 2013 report on torture. So this is the ninth review. I know in the United States, when they put in their information to the Universal Periodic Report, that they say that they have addressed 81% of the issues in that report. And hopefully we'll be able to get intersex in there and do the same thing there. But most people in the United States have no idea about this report. And that's why I wanted to sit here and speak about it. So if you could explain how it is you're able to use that report to change things in your country, that would be very appreciated.
Yeah. So since Zimbabwe was under review last year, that was in 2021, some CBOs uh, uh, came up with reports and submitted before the committee so that Zimbabwe will be reviewed. Yeah, so there are certain countries, I think it was Finland and Iceland, who made recommendations on the protection of intersex minors. And Zimbabwe accepted. Um, that was recommendation 140.58, if I'm not mistaken, or 0.60. Maybe I'm just getting them mixed up. So after they had actually accepted those recommendations, so for us, we were overjoyed and we were celebrating because they also accepted another recommendation on, I think it was gender identity. So some of the organizations were part of the process of writing or maybe coming up with reports. They then offered a statement, a public statement. But since Zimbabwe is actually in the pre-election period, and LGBTI issues have always been used as weapons to decampaign some other political parties. I think the ruling party then decided to go back maybe to maybe, yeah, to denounce what they had already accepted. So a minister of some minister somewhere then offered a public report to to the media to say that we we don't accept LGBTI people. So it's unfortunate that as they are maybe reversing those gains, or maybe going against what they have accepted during that UPR, those recommendations. It's unfortunate that they end up reversing on intersex, of which when we look at those LGBTI issues, intersex issues, the one recommendation, it was on intersex minors, and it's got nothing to do with sexual orientation or gender identity, which is something that they just don't understand how to separate. So unfortunately, in intersex children or intersex minors, they end up getting affected by the those remarks, or maybe those decisions, because these leaders sometimes they do not really understand what's the difference between those groups. So I think that was the whole process that I could share with you right now.
Yeah, we seem to be mirroring our political things in our country as well as your country, where they are weaponizing the T, if anything, on the LGBT and trying to um, turn a small minority of 139 million people into a
Yeah.
weapon, and
Yeah.
and their political campaign is to discriminate against these people, and it's
Mm,
like, seriously, that's your whole political campaign.
yeah.
And it sounds like they're doing the same thing down there. So
Mm.
that's scary that it's going on all around the world. But so ICoZ has been going on for 8 years now, 4 years now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Use my
Almost
fingers.
four.
Oh,
Almost. Yeah, I think we will be 4 years in October. When we reach
okay.
October, we will
Well,
be
there you go.
exactly 4 years.
There you go. This show will be 1 year old in October, so we started up right before Intersex Awareness.
Wow. Yeah.
So in that time and doing your intersex activism in a country where they really don't appreciate it, um, have you found some things that you found very useful for getting through to people and trying to explain it to them that you could share with us that we might be able to use as well?
Sorry, please come again. I kind of lost you
That's okay.
for a moment.
Um, what I'm trying to ask is, over the 4 years of being a intersex advocate for ICoZ and your organization, is there anything that you found that was extremely useful in reaching out to people that have no clue about intersex that we might be able to use for ourselves so that we can reach more people?
Mm. Yeah, I think one of the strategies that we as intersex community of Zimbabwe have been using, that has proven to work for us at least, is um, allyship, to form strong allies with religious groups, as well as traditional and cultural groups, because those form very strong, or they have very strong
And that's Paul doing a live show from Africa, the continent of Africa. Zimbabwe is from Southern Africa, if I'm correct, and it used to be Rhodesia. But come on, Ronnie, we need you back. All right, then. So now I need something to talk about. So what are we going to talk about? We can talk about upcoming shows. I think we got Ella. Oh, geez, I should have wrote her name down. From Spain, coming on next month. And then we have a very special show for Intersex Awareness Day. Um, I'm not sure if I should say the guest yet until we make sure we can work out the schedule and everything. But I can tell you our Intersex Awareness Day show is going to be amazing. And you don't want to miss that. It will probably not be at the regular time because Intersex Awareness Day is on a Wednesday. And we have to fit around other people's schedules. So we'll see what we can do with all of that. And we have completely lost Ronnie, and we're going to see if they come back. Otherwise, we might be. Oh, I see Ronnie coming back. There you are. You're back.
Yeah, the
Yay.
network is just yeah, my internet connection is always like up and down, We don't have a very good internet connection.
Well, I was
So
trying to explain, yes, plus we're going all the way around the world kind of thing. That doesn't help. So there's all sorts of relays between here and there. Plus,
mm.
I have a hurricane, remnants of a hurricane blowing over my house right now. So,
Oh.
um, and anyway, though, you were talking about positive things that have worked for ICoZ as far as reaching out. And you had mentioned the reaching out to churches and having alliances with churches. And I was wondering if you could give me a little bit of a taste of the um, religious view on intersex people there, because here in America, the religious view on intersex is pretty horrible.
Yeah, I've always had this experience to say that at first, it's like our approach is that we do approach them and then we explain to them to say, okay, we are from the intersex community of Zimbabwe. We are part of the congregation. So yeah, we need to have some dialogues. Maybe, yeah, just have some dialogue with you. So yeah, it's always not easy because when you start having this dialogue, you can actually tell that the atmosphere is very tense. They
Mm,
just come here out of curiosity, and they are ready to bash you with Bible verses and all, they use everything in the Bible. But I think we have our own way that we have actually managed to master to use the very same Bible to counter on their attacks and use it again against them. Um, so that is something that we have actually managed to do, and we have seen it working because, in our experience, we've never finished a meeting with them and having them walking away or maybe not understanding. They end up feeling guilty of how they've always treated intersex people, and they end up accepting us and becoming advocates for our cause. So it's something that we have actually managed to 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 do. And also the other thing is that I think when we are working with these groups, one of the strategies that we have actually managed to use is to maybe not make them a whole congregation and just take smaller groups, or maybe even start sensitizing at home, people who are around you, people who can actually support you and speak on your behalf. Because the moment that maybe you go in front of the whole congregation, it will be like 2 against 100. So we try to make the groups that we're dealing with smaller, so that we can actually have a conversation. We have that dialogue whereby we actually giving each other time to speak to one another, having that, giving them an opportunity to even ask. And I think one of the biggest or powerful things that we have been doing is sharing of our lived experiences is very, very powerful, whereby we make them see, the wrongs, the evil that the world out there, including the church, by discriminating against someone who did not choose to be whom they are. So we try to make it really touching, so that they end up having no choice but to feel very bad about uh, being horrible towards intersex people.
Yes, I agree with that because if they actually read their Bible, they will find out they're on the wrong side of the situation and
Yeah.
that they should be very careful about their salvation if they think that
Mm.
ignoring the words of Jesus is going to help them get into heaven. But I do have a
can,
question.
can,
Go ahead. Did
I wanted to share with you something very interesting that I once shared with a group of Christians. They were actually Christian leaders.
you-
So I always share to say that, remember, the Bible says that when God created the first human being, he created Adam. So Adam was created, and from Adam, God took out Adam's ribs. Maybe it wasn't only ribs, maybe there were other parts that were not mentioned. And from the very same human being, God took out a female. So for me, I always say, how then are we sure that Adam was not intersex?
Absolutely, I agree. Adam was a hermaphrodite because
Because if you can take a female out of a whole human being, where did the female come from?
exactly. So either it was the first transgender, or Jesus, or I mean, Adam was a hermaphrodite. That's what
Yeah,
I see
so
it. So I'm
yeah, so
glad you
we
said
always
that.
yeah, so we always give them something to think about, and then they will start thinking, and their brains start running very fast. And
Mm.
before they know it, they start feeling guilty about discriminating against people who were just created in the image of God. I even posed the question the other time to say, how then do we know if God Himself is not intersex, is not hermaphrodite? Because we were
Hmm.
created in His own image, and we've never heard that He's got a sex.
That. So I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. I do. uh, our co-host Julie lost their voice. I don't know if you caught that, but they did ask a question in the chat, and they want to know, um, where do you see ICoZ going in the next 2 years? Are there boundaries you're looking to kick down, or where do you see yourself 2 years from now?
um, Maybe I'm over ambitious, but I'm just gonna be real about it. Uh, from 2 years from now, I can actually see ICoZ being one of the biggest organizations, not in terms of maybe membership or stuff, but things that we would have achieved, because we want to make sure that in 2 years' time, there will be that law that actually recognizes intersex people, whereby we can be able to walk into any Home Affairs office and maybe get documentation that actually says that you are intersex person, you are an intersex person. And we also fighting for, we actually seeing ourselves in 2 years being, being a country that is totally abolished non-consensual surgeries for intersex minors who cannot consent for themselves. Yeah, I think that's where we see ourselves being at. Yeah.
All right. That's pretty ambitious because there's a lot of things you're going up against as far as the people doing the surgeries are making a fortune doing them, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to be able to keep doing those surgeries. And they have more money than you and I will ever have be to fight us. But I hope you are correct and that you are the most influential group in Zimbabwe in the next 2 years, and that you change lives and secure the ending of cosmetic surgery on infants, because that's literally what it is. Um, so Julie did have another question that they wanted to ask. As far as the general public, outside of the religious realm and the political realm, just general public in Zimbabwe, are they accepting of intersex people, or are they totally clueless like they are here in America?
Yeah, when it comes to the general public, of course, they do not have, or maybe they have maybe twisted a twisted understanding, or maybe limited information and understanding when it comes to intersex persons. We've seen that most of them, they, like culturally, uh, the birth of an intersex child has been associated with bad omen, maybe being treated as an abomination or witchcraft and stuff like that. So back in the day, they used to kill intersex children simply because they used to believe that um, it
Bad omen.
interferes with other natural processes like rains, maybe drought. They cause, the birth of an intersex child. It causes droughts and or other feminines.
Right. So those are the water babies you're referring to, where they um, drown the intersex children because there's such a bad omen for the area. Is that what you're referring to? Oh, and you're not there. Live stuff is so much fun. Almost. Come on, Ronnie, you can do it. Because I have more questions. How much time do we have left? 15 minutes. Pardon me. All right, we're going to see if Ronnie can come back in. And I'm trying to get Julie to do. There you are. You're back. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
All right, there you go. We were talking about, what were we talking about? I was the general public and their accepting of intersex and their understanding of it, and they have none. Is that what I got out of all that? I got kind of sidetracked.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like in this day and age, they just believe that intersex people are people who can. That's their belief that those who have got two sexual organs, they can impregnate themselves. Most of the people out there, they are just scared. They've got the phobia of intersex people. Even though
Yeah,
sometimes,
It's people like to think all sorts of crazy things because I don't think that you could have two matching chromosome pairs matches to come together and make a viable child. And if you did, I think that things would not be as expected. And
Mm,
so getting yourself pregnant, A, would be really stupid, genetically speaking. B, I don't think it's possible. And C, what a way to make a situation as pornographic as you possibly can when it has absolutely nothing to do with that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I hate that argument from people
Mm,
because
mm,
it's so far off base. Um, and Yeah, so we were also talking about how people think that the droughts and whatnot are connected to the birth of an intersex child. Um,
mhm.
and I don't even know if I want to ask that question. So I'm going to just move on to the next question in my head because
Okay.
um, that's just sometimes the things that they do to children and babies just breaks my heart and crushes my soul. And
Mm,
I can't talk about it
mm,
without coming to tears and whatnot. But they do not cherish a intersex child as being a unique version of a human being that should be, if nothing else, raised above all others because from what I've seen, they have a superior intellect.
mm. Yeah. Of course.
Plus, over the years, we've um, over history, intersex people have been the advisors to queens and kings and people like that because they were the most trusted people, um,
Mhm.
and they were able to see things more clearly than one side or the other. They could see things um, all over the place. And sorry, it's believe. All right, so Julie wanted to know. So they believe in the false notion. They also believe we are powerful enough to cause a drought. So people think the intersex people are powerful enough to cause drought. That's pretty powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're that powerful, why would you want to mess with us? Because we might come back and get you. Uh, so
Yeah, you can say that again.
there you go. I'm going to move to the desert and make it rain in the desert, and you all are going to be dried up. Oh, I only wish that those things were possible, but I don't think we have that much power. I do think we're unique people and that we do affect the world in um, many different ways. Um, Mostly at this point by educating everybody in the world
Mm,
about something that's been around forever. So, what a challenge.
yeah.
Um, so, my next question is when you were doing your research in
Mm.
Zimbabwe about yourself and before you knew about the intersex community, um, how difficult was it for you in Zimbabwe to find information about your situation or your variation of intersex? How difficult was it for you to find information? Because I've done some serious digging to get to the bottom of my situation.
Um, Very difficult. Um, simply because the birth of an intersex child or even raising an intersex child has always been treated with so much secrecy. I think one of the things that I even struggled with was also even getting information, even from my own mother. She never used to want to talk about it. Um, it would depress her if I start bringing up this issue of being intersex. Um, So let alone the even general public, because at some point I had to speak to traditional leaders, all these traditional healers and all these other older generations. Some of them, they would actually tell me that it's something that I should never ever want to speak about. And not knowing that I am actually intersex myself. So why shouldn't I be speaking about myself? So it was very difficult, actually gathering information from the general public or even anyone, elders or anyone who might have been in a position to help me with information. So I guess that with the little information that I managed to find out from my own research of going around and trying to research about being intersex and in Zimbabwe, um, I also found a lot of useful information online. Um, so my research, it is actually a combination of researching about other cultures around Africa, including what I found on the net. And one thing that also, it depressed me a bit is that I could not find because I speak Shona, so I could not find the Shona term for intersex. So I had to sit down with my own community so that we can actually come up with our own term that means something to us, that we can actually call ourselves, because we could not find any term that refers to intersex. That's how secretive it was.
And what is
So
that term?
it's called Mupachka.
Mupachka?
Mupachka, yes,
Okay.
Mupachka. So
I like
it's it. Yeah, thank you.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So it refers to um, it came from the term of twins, um, but then not saying that, directly saying that I am a twin in being myself, but the term just kind of like relates to say that um, you can find characteristics of both male and female, but on one body. So
Right. I
that's
like it.
just.
That's a very good word. And
Thank you, thank you.
I'll forget it in like 20 seconds, but I love the word.
Don't worry, I'll keep reminding you of it.
There you go. I appreciate that.
Thank
All
you.
right. So we got some questions about Zimbabwe itself. Um, Zimbabwe is, if I'm correct, Southern Africa and used to be Rhodesia. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, because I know a bit about Rhodesia and what a bloody, disgusting war it was from going from Rhodesia to Zimbabwe. It was like horrifying, the things that were
Yeah.
done to people. Um,
Yeah.
but so Zimbabwe is an independent nation and not a British territory. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So somebody brought that question up, and I thought we should clarify it, and I should find out if what I thought was correct is actually. Oh.
Yeah.
So, um, but so I'm guessing you had to leave while the war was going on and wait for things to calm down. Yes, before you came back.
When I left,
Uh oh, you're almost there. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. All right, then we might just have to wrap this up because Ronnie's not here. Well, I do have this moment. I do want to take a moment and point out how much I love our intro and outro music, the new music that we have that is provided to us at no charge from bensound.com, BenSound, bensound.com. All right, Ronnie, you're back. All right.
Yes, yes, I'm back.
And where were we then? I always have to think of something to talk about real quick. And
Yeah, I think I was trying to explain when I left the country. Yeah, so I left the country simply because of the way I was being treated. Because when I was surgically corrected at age between 16 and 17, um, there was this expectation that I should start living as a girl, because I was being corrected from being, because when I was raised as a boy. And
right,
as I reached puberty, I then started developing some female features. So my parents decided to take me for surgery, like I said earlier. And at that time, the things that I went through, it was really horrific. Um, I was very bitter. I was angry. I was angry with everyone. So um, society didn't understand me, because I was expected to do things and behave and talk and do everything as a girl, because that's what they wanted. That was their expectation. But then I couldn't be that.
right,
So I had to escape. Um, and the only place that I could escape to was a country that I knew that they have maybe an environment and laws that are friendly to people who are non-LGBT, sorry, who are part of the LGBTI. So
yes.
I then went to South Africa. That was in 2001.
Yeah. Well, we're very glad that you made it back to Zimbabwe. And I hate to cut you off, but we are running out of time. And I do want to thank you so much for going through all the trials and tribulations that we had to make this show happen. All the things that we've done over the last year trying to make this show happen. And Ronnie, thank you very, very much. If anybody wants to know more about you, how could they get a hold of you?
They can actually reach us through our Facebook page. That is Zim Intersex Community without shame. So it's Zim Intersex Community without shame. Either they can go into our inbox, or they can reach us through our email, which is zimintersexcommunity@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right. Hey, Ronnie, thank you very, very much. We got to wrap this up. And I want to thank you again for everything that you've done to contribute to our show today. All
Thank you
right.
very much, Jeff. Thank you. Cheers.
Pleasure's all mine. All right. Hey, thank you for listening to the original Intersex Connect Live. To find out more information about any of our guests, the original Intersex Connect Live, to watch prior episodes, leave comments, or contact us on social media, visit us at linktree/intersexconnect. And that's linktr.ee/intersexconnect. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss future programs, articles, special announcements, events, and more. If you're interested in volunteering to help create the original Intersex Connect Live, visit our website and send us a message. I'm Jesse Benedict. See you next time on the original Intersex Connect Live.